Hello and welcome to Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. My name is Kelly and I'm a former wedding planner and blogger, and I'm obsessed with weddings. If you're planning a wedding in Ireland, you're in the right place. You're going to learn the tried and tested methods to planning your dream wedding without the added stress. Think of this as your one-stop shop for everything to do with planning your wedding in Ireland. With me, your new wedding planning bestie, and a cup of tea. This is Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. Well, happy Wednesday and welcome to a brand new episode of Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. My name is Kelly and I'm your host this week, and we are actually going into part 2 of a whole series about choosing your wedding suppliers. Last week we kicked off the series with a really big one. We spoke about how to choose your wedding venue. So if you missed that, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to it, because we had just so much advice about how to choose the perfect wedding venue. And we're going to continue with the expert advice on today's episode, because today we're talking all about how to choose your wedding photographer. Did you know that out of all the people that you are going to interact with on your wedding day, the person you're going to spend the most time with is your wedding photographer? Now, you probably thought it was your spouse or your bridesmaids or your parents or, your some other loved one or close friend or family member. But actually, if you think about it, your wedding photographer is going to be with you for the whole day, capturing everything. And so you want to make sure that you pick someone that you connect with, somebody who understands your style, and they're able to really bring your wedding plans to life. These photos that you're going to pick, that you're going to have taken, are going to be the photos that you print and frame and have in your home. So you want to make sure you choose someone who's the right fit for you. So today, I have a guest expert whose name is Wassim from Face and Lens Photography. He's a very talented photographer. He's also very knowledgeable about wedding photography, and so he's going to help me put some language to some of the things that you've got to be thinking about when it comes to choosing the perfect wedding photographer. So he's going to pop in at different points in the episode, and he's going to help us find the perfect wedding photographer. So we have 6 steps to go through, and we're going to start with the first one, which is to work out your budget. So there'll be a few times in the series that I'll ask you to look at your budget, because it's important to make sure that you are shopping for the person who you can actually afford. But my first piece of advice on this topic is not to only shop by price. So I'm not suggesting that you look for the cheapest photographer and you just book them, but I'm really just saying be wise and make sure that you have a rough idea of what your budget is and what you can afford. And when you're reaching out to photographers, you know which ones kind of fit in your budget. You may have to get creative if your dream photographer is a little bit outside of your budget. And we do have an episode that I recorded a few weeks ago called What to Do If You Can't Afford the Wedding You Want. And I gave some tips there on what you could do. But My advice really is to just understand your budget, but also to remember that you are choosing the person who's going to capture your wedding. You're going to have these photos for life. You're going to show them to your children, your grandchildren. You're going to post them on social media. You're going to frame them, display them in your home. You're going to, at some point, move to a new home. You're going to display them in that home too. These photos are going to be with you for life, and you're going to want to look at them for many years to come. So you want to make sure you choose someone who's a really good photographer who can really capture those special moments for you. So don't only look at your budget, but make sure that you do have a rough idea of how much money you have to spend. Now, item number 2 on our list is to understand the vision. So what kind of photos do you want? What is the end result? And you might not have the words to explain what you're looking for. So I asked Wassim to walk us through some different styles of photography so that you can understand what your options are. And you could go to a photographer and say, this is the kind of style that I was picturing. Do you do this kind of thing? So let's have a listen to what Wassim had to say, because I think he's going to give us some really helpful language to use when we're looking for a photographer and when we're talking to the potential photographers that we may want to book.
Hello, this is Wassim from Face and Lens Photography. There are many different wedding photography styles, but I'd like to focus on 6 of them so you can really understand what are the difference between them. First one, documentary. This style is like storytelling approach. The photographer captures real moments and emotion without much posing or interacting with you. Basically, it's all about capturing the day as it naturally goes. The second will be the fine art. Think of this as a wedding photography with an artistic touch. The photographers focus on creating visually stunning and creative images. They might use unique angles, lighting, and compositions to make your photos look like a piece of art. The third will be the classic, is the timeless and traditional. Its focus on posed shots of the couple and the family, often in a formal way. It's about capturing the essential moments and people in a very organized structure. The fourth will be the natural. The goal to capture people as they are, no poses and often captures in natural settings. The photos will reflect real emotions and interactions, basically. Vintage style photography. The goal to create the look and the feel of old retro photos. Photographers will use edit techniques to give your wedding photos a timeless vibe. The last one will be the fashion. This style is all about making you and your partner looks like fashion models. The photographer pay a lot of attention to posing, lighting, and styling to create high fashion shots. Actually, many photographers can blend different styles to create a unique look for your wedding photos. It's important to understand your photographer style and to discuss your preference with them to ensure they capture your special day just the way you want it.
Well, thank you so much, Wassim. Let me just quickly summarize the 6 different styles that Wassim spoke about. First was documentary style, then there was fine art, there's classic, there's natural, there's vintage, and there's fashion. So those are the 6 styles. And as Wassim said, you don't have to pick just one. It could be a blend of different styles that you really, really like. So hopefully that will help you to pinpoint exactly which direction you want to go in. So now item number 3 is to ask for recommendations. So when looking for a wedding photographer, there are a couple of ways you can look for recommendations. The first one is you can look at the real wedding features that we have on the Weddings Online blog. And so those will show you what a photographer's real weddings look like. So instead of just looking at some of the highlights, you can see a whole wedding feature, which real life couples have hired those photographers, they've told their story, and they are showing their photos, which is awesome. Second thing you can do is you can join our Help I'm Getting Married Facebook community. It's a really great space to connect with other couples who are getting married, and you can ask for their recommendations. They'll give you advice on, who they've booked and what they thought. They'll tell you when they've already had their wedding day, what they thought of the photographer. So many people will post photos and say, this is what my photographer did. The photos are great. And you'll be able to get a bit of an idea of what other couples are doing and who they think is really, really good. Next item is looking through a full gallery. So I alluded to this a moment ago where I said it's helpful to look at a whole wedding that a photographer has done and not just the highlights. And I asked Wassim to give us a little bit of insight into why this is important. So have a listen to what he had to say.
It's really important to look at a full real wedding gallery from a photographer you like because it shows you what their work is really like. Instead of just seeing a few amazing photos, you get to see how they captured the whole weddings. This helps you make sure their style and quality match what you want for your own weddings photos. And if you come across a real wedding gallery that you really like, but you can't find high resolution images, don't be afraid to ask the photographer for sample high quality photos. These samples will give you a clearer idea of the final product, ensuring there are no unexpected surprises when you receive your wedding photos.
That's really helpful. I think whenever you're looking for a photographer, it's really helpful to look at a full gallery. And as Wassim said, don't be afraid to ask for the high-res photos too if you can't find them online. Item number 5 is to actually meet up with your potential photographer. So it's really helpful to have really practical conversations with them. It's also helpful to just check that you connect with them, because I mentioned earlier that you're going to be spending a lot of time on your wedding day with your wedding photographer. So you want to make sure that you guys actually get along and that you enjoy being in that person's company, because you're going to spend a lot of time with them. So I asked Wassim to talk to us about some of the questions that you can ask when you first meet up with a potential photographer, just to help make sure that you are picking the person who is the right fit for you. And this is what he had to say.
When you meet your photographer, there are 7 points I would highly recommend to discuss. Discuss their photography style. Make sure their style matches your vision for your wedding photos. You can even ask if they can blend the different styles if you like, and there are many clever ways to make that work, but it will depend on the photographer's skills and different style they can create. Discuss the price and what's included in their package. Make sure it's fit within your budget and include everything you need. Ensure they have the right photography equipment and a backup plan in case of any technical issues. Discuss the timeline for your wedding day. Put together a plan to make sure your photographer understands the sequence of your day. Talk about logistics like travel, setup, and how they handle different lighting conditions. Share your ideas and vision for the wedding. See if they are open to your any ideas and if they have any interesting ideas to consider, as this shows the photographer cares about giving you more than what you even asked for. The last one would be ask for reference, of course, just to see reviews from the past clients. This can give you an idea into their professionalism and how they work with couples. And remember, it's not just about their skills, but also about how well you connect with them. You want a photographer who makes you feel comfortable and confident while they capture your special day.
Well, that is a very good point. It's not just about their skills, but it's how you connect with them. And that brings us to our final point. When searching for a wedding photographer, I always recommend going to the Weddings Online Service Finder as a good starting point. So in my day, when I was planning a wedding, which was about 9 years ago, actually pretty much to the day, 9 years ago, my now husband and I were planning our wedding. And when we were looking for suppliers, we had to just Google everything. So we would just search for photographers in the area, and we'd have to trawl through websites to get an understanding of their style and where they were based and price and everything. But we've actually got a tool on the Weddings Online website where we've created a system that makes it so much easier for couples to find their dream wedding suppliers, including photographers. And so I will drop a link to that in the notes so you can have a look, but it's so simple. You put in your date, you can put in a couple of different factors like your county or your venue if you've chosen one, and it just means that you will only be talking to the photographers that tick the boxes. And so you don't have to be going through long lists of photographers, you don't have to be going through multiple Google pages and going through all the websites. We've basically made it easy for you to find the perfect person. But to end this episode, I asked Wassim if there was anything else that people should consider when choosing a wedding photographer, and he gave a really brilliant answer that's going to help us conclude the episode. So have a listen to this.
There are a few important things to consider. Like, if there are more than one photographer on your day, this means you can get different angles and styles. It will give you more variety in your photos. Ask how many photos they will deliver. It helps you to know what to expect. If you want aerial shots, check if they can use drones. It adds a unique perspective. Find out how many photos they will edit to the highest standard. These are usually the top ones for your album and wall art. Some photographers can also create highlights video. They focus mainly on photos, but they can capture some short videos. It's cost effective if they cannot hire separate videographer. At the end, your photographer is an artist, and every artist has a different style. Focus on the style you like, and make sure it suits your vision for your wedding day.
Well, thank you, Wassim, for sharing so much expert advice today. If you would like to talk to Wassim from Face and Lens Photography about capturing your wedding day, you can go to weddingsonline.ie and you can search for Face and Lens Photography, or you can head to the blog part of our website where there will be an episode breakdown for this episode, and I will share a direct link to where you can find Wassim and you can have a chat with him. But thank you for listening today. The Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online podcast is produced by me, Kelly, and mixed, mastered, and edited by Glenn Hartman. For more wedding planning tips, advice, checklists, and more, visit weddingsonline.ie.